everyone, I am Tanushree, working as a lecturer in zoology at Nayagarh Autonomous College. In our last class, we had discussed about improvement of food production. It consisted of two parts. We had to discuss it in two parts as per your syllabus, that is apiculture and animal husbandry. Improvement of food production is necessary because in order to fulfill the growing demand of this growing population, we have to improve the production of food in large quantity, or we have to produce in large scale of food, and we have to consider the quality and also the quantity of the food produced. Last class we had discussed about apiculture. Apiculture means the scientific method of beekeeping. Now we have to discuss animal husbandry. What does this name implicate? It is the agricultural practice of breeding and raising livestock. Agricultural practice of breeding. We have to collect those animals, we have to make breeding strategies and then raise the livestock. It deals with feeding, we have to supply them with food, breeding, we have to implement proper breeding strategy, housing, we have to take care of their proper dwelling place, health care so that they will not be affected by any diseases, health care of farm animals for getting maximum benefits. In order to get maximum benefit, we have to take care of their feeding, breeding, housing and health care. Here we come across a term livestock. Here we come across a term that is livestock. It refers to the farm animals that are kept by humans for useful commercial purposes. Husbandry means management. So, animal husbandry means management of farm animals. Okay. However, it is estimated that more than 70% of the world livestock population is present in India and China. We know world's most populated countries are India and China, and the livestock presence is 70% of total world population of livestock. However, the contribution of India and China towards the farm products is only 25%. Though total population is 70%, out of 70% we get products only from 25%, or the production is 25% in total. So, if we go to describe or go to define the scientific definition of animal husbandry, it is the controlled cultivation, management and production of domestic animals, including improvement of qualities desirable by human beings. By which method? By breeding. Okay. It is, though is an science, but it is called an arts, because most of the activities of animal breeding are carried out by those population of our country that are totally illiterate or they know little about science. So, we can say it is an art. We will be covering this topic under dairy farming, poultry farming, sheep and goat farming, pig farming, horse farming, fish farming. Okay. Now, let us know what are the needs for animal husbandry. We need milk in our day-to-day life. Milk is a good source of many nutrients. Okay. Hence, we need animal husbandry for milk production, for meat production, food production, food and hides like honey, silk, leather, fiber like wool, leather, bones, horns. For transportation, we use animals like bullocks, horses, donkeys. Then for labor purpose, we use cattle, buffaloes. For fertilizers, the animal excreta are good source of nitrogenous waste that are good fertilizers that can be used in agricultural purpose. Then fuel. Some of the animal excreta are also used for fuel purpose. Then for land management. Land management means using the livestock in a particular area makes the proper utilization of that land in order to control the spread of shrubs and weeds. Okay. What are the advantages of animal husbandry? Animal husbandry has several advantages, like it helps in management of the animals. We see wild animals moving here and there and creating disturbances in our day-to-day life, like dogs and some wild cattle. If we manage them properly, then we will get production, as well as we will not suffer due to them. Okay. It also provide employment in large scales. Most of the educated people, they may not get job after completing their education. Okay. So they can go for animal husbandry or they can go for the agriculture. It helps in developing high yielding breed of animals by crossbreeding, as a result of which it increases food production. Okay. By developing the variety of animals or the breed of animals, we can get a different and a superior variety of animal, and also we can get enough food production that will be quantitatively superior and also qualitatively superior. It involves proper utilization of animal waste and promotes a healthy environment. Proper utilization of animal excreta creates a healthy environment, means excreta is used as a manure, it can be used as a source of fuel, and it doesn't create any pollution after its proper management. Okay. Due to large scale of production, we can say it's a revolution in agricultural sector. Several revolutions you have heard, that is your green revolution by M.S. Swaminathan related to agricultural production. Similarly, white revolution, high yielding of milk production. Then blue revolution, it is related to fish production. Silver revolution means egg or poultry production. Okay. Several type of revolutions we can see. Red revolution means meat and tomato production. Likewise, several revolutions are there. Revolution means a large scale of production or a change or movement in the production of the livestock. Okay. First, let us know about the dairy farming. Dairy farming is the management of cattle, cows and buffaloes. Cattle means cows and buffaloes. Their management in order to obtain milk and the milk products for human consumption. Milk is used for several milk products like yogurt, then cheese, etc. etc. So, for this purpose we go for dairy farming. Milch is the variety. Milch is the variety that are milk producing animals. Milch are the milk producing animals. Buffaloes are the major source of milk for the country. In our country, buffaloes are the major source of milk, and milk is extremely rich in calcium. Buffalo milk is extremely rich in calcium. The scientific name of cow is Bus indicus. You all know Bus indicus. Okay. The founder chairman of National Dairy Development Board. National Dairy Development Board of India. He is Dr. Verghese Kurien, is designated as the world's largest agricultural dairy development program, that is Operation Flood. Which one is Operation Flood? Operation Flood. He is regarded as the father of white revolution in India. Dr. Verghese Kurien is regarded as the father of white revolution in India. So, what are the importance of cattle farming? First thing, we have to obtain milk. Second thing, we have to obtain the milk products. Bullocks are used for the agricultural and transport purposes. Also, we need high yielding breeds to get longer lactation period. We need high yield varieties in order to get longer lactation period. Oxen and bullocks are used for ploughing the land. Along with transportation, we use them for ploughing the agricultural land. Then bullocks are used in driving carts in transportation. Cattle dung is used as a manure for fertility of soil and also used as a fuel. How can we manage the dairy farm? Next come to the management of dairy farm. We can discuss it in two aspects, that is technical feasibility and economic viability. Technical feasibility and economic viability. What is technical feasibility? Technically, the farmer must not depend upon larger distance, or it must be nearer to the center of farming, so that it will not expend more energy or expend more amount of money to get high yielding variety. What are those things? It must be nearer to the selected area, to veterinary, breeding and milk collection center and the financing banks branch, so that it will not expense more for transportation. Then availability of good quality of animal nearby livestock market. If good quality of animal is available in the nearby livestock market, it will go easily and purchase with less expenditure. Then availability of training facility. The animals must be trained properly. Training needs for transportation, training needs for other purposes, like those who are used for gaming purposes, they need training. Okay, there must be proper training facility and it must be nearby to the agricultural land. Then availability of grazing ground or land. Good grazing ground must be available so that the animals can get their food in large quantity with less expenditure of energy. If they will need to travel more longer distances, then they will expend more energy in traveling. Okay, that energy will be consumed for production of milk. Okay, then green or dairy fodder, concentrated feed, medicines etc. must be available easily and cheaply in the nearby market. Then availability of veterinary aid, breeding centers and milk marketing facilities near the scheme area. Means those things must be available easily in the nearby market. Then come to economic viability. When we will go for the culture, suppose this is your agricultural land, we will go for a culture, we have to invest and then sell. Okay, investment must be lesser than selling price, so that we can get profit, Okay, without profit we will not go for any purpose. Okay, as we are human beings, we are greedy in nature, we need profit in each and every sector. If our investment will be more than our selling price, then we will not go for that, we will face loss. We need profit. So what are the economic viabilities? Cost of feed, fodder, veterinary aid, breeding of animals, insurance, labor and other overheads must be lesser. Another one is the output cost of sale price of milk, manure, male and female calves and other miscellaneous items must be larger. It must be higher, but it should be affordable by other people. If we will keep the sale price more than any affordable price, nobody will go to buy it. So we have to keep all these things in mind. Then we have to go care for the cattle. Care for cattle अंडर आम डिस्कस करवा cattle shed. Cattle shed is a place where the cattle will live or they will be kept. Cattle shed is made separately of different breeds. For different breeds we will keep separate cattle shed. If we mix them, there will be competition among them. Okay, in order to avoid competition, we have to keep them separately. Then it should be well spacious, roofed and airy. Proper ventilation must be available. Then there will be a proper drainage system, so that immediately the urine and the dung will be removed from that shed. It will be clean. The floor should be cemented and non-skid type. If it will be skid type, then the animals may fall down and it may develop some injury. So the floor should be non-skid type. Then separate container for food and water must be kept. Another one is after cattle cell, we have to consider their nutrition. Nutrition means food supply. A cattle should be supplied with a fodder of regular supplements, and for the cow it is 15 kg to 20 kg. For the cow it is 15 kg to 20 kg of raw veggies daily supply, and for the buffalo it needs obviously more, and water supply must be 27 to 32 liters of water for a cow. Then the food should include salt, minerals and vitamins. The food must be rich in salt, minerals and vitamins. More food is required for milking cows and buffaloes because they have to invest all the energy for milk production. Okay. Then next point is grooming. Grooming means we have to clean the cows, buffaloes regularly. We have to brush them, massage them, and to keep them healthy. All these things are required, because if you won't won't wash them properly, then ticks may infect them, and tick-borne diseases are severe towards our cattle animals. Okay, hence grooming is required. Next is health care. Health care, we need to monitor regularly the health of cattle, if there is any disease or not. If there is any disease, we have to treat it immediately. Else they should be kept free from the common diseases like foot and mouth diseases, hemorrhagic septicemia, black quarter, tuberculosis, brucellosis, mastitis and pneumonia. All these things, else all these diseases may affect your cattle and also the production. How to avoid these conditions? That is vaccination. In order to face any disease challenge, we have to go for vaccination. Vaccination is meant for boosting the immunity. Okay. So vaccination or standard vaccination programs should be followed, because all the vaccines are short-lived. Short-lived means they will get expired within a short period of time, so we cannot store it. We need to regularly monitor and give vaccines to them. Except brucellosis vaccine, all the lifespan of all the vaccines for cattle is lesser. Okay. Then we have to maintain proper sanitation. In order to maintain proper health care, we have to give vaccination, and as we know, prevention is better than cure. We have to maintain sanitation. Sanitation measures we should follow for better hygiene. Sanitation is more important during milking, their storage and transportation of milk and milk products. Okay. We maintain sanitary condition during milking, their storage and transportation. Though mechanization of all these actions have been developed, we need to regularly clean the machines. Otherwise, there will be development of certain bacteria, they will contaminate our food and also affect our health. Lastly, organic farming. We need to go for organic farming because nowadays excess use of pesticides, insecticides have accumulated in the green vegetables we eat. Okay. And these toxic material are accumulated also in the grazing animals. Okay. So accumulation of toxic material from one trophic level to higher trophic level is termed as biomagnification. As the cattle will be fed on toxic materials, those toxic materials will go to the milk products, and also milk we will consume them, and indirectly the toxic materials will affect us. So in order to avoid that condition, we should go for organic farming, so that organic feeds are grown and fed to this cattle to get organic milk. Okay. I have already discussed the National Dairy Development Board in 1970, founded by the chairman Dr. Varghese Kuren. He is the co-founder of Amul. Amul, that is your Anand Milk Union Limited. It was established by Dr. Varghese Kuren, is regarded as the father of white revolution. some of the important breeds of cattle. What are the some of important breeds of cattle? We can categorize them to milching variety, milching for transport or drop variety, then used for both. Okay, so milching varieties are Deoni, Gir, Red Sindhi, Sahiwals. Drop variety are Halikar, Kayangayam, then Malvi, Nageri. Dual purpose breeds are Haryana, Kankrej, Ongle. Okay, all these breeds are mainly available in Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Delhi, UP, MP. All these breeds are found in different areas, but most of them are found in these states of our country. Okay, now next we will discuss about poultry farming. What is poultry? Poultry is the farming of a wide variety of birds. Poultry means it is the rearing of a wide variety of birds, that are fowls, means chicken, dogs, turkeys, pigeon, etc. Okay. India holds 5th position in world in poultry farming, and Andhra Pradesh is the number 1 state, or the first state to come in egg production in our country. Okay. Poultries are categorized into 2 types, like meat producing and egg producing. Meat producing are broilers, then egg producing are layers. Okay. Dogs form about 6% of total poultry farming in India. Then we will discuss poultry farm management. How to manage poultry farms? We have to select the disease-free variety, disease-free suitable variety or suitable breed for the farm. There must be sufficient availability of food, then enough space, proper lighting, optimum temperature for growers. Growers means first phase of chick's life. Then sexually mature chickens, that is the second phase, means egg laying phase. Sexually maturity asla pore jaiki semane egg lay kari paribe, that is the second phase. And then lastly the broilers. When they lose their egg laying capacity, they are used for meat purpose. Okay. Then proper and safe farm condition. The farm must be safe. Okay. Their safety should be managed well maintained, because several animals like dogs, other carnivore animals may attack them. So we have to protect them. Then their health care. Health and hygiene must be maintained of the birds by spraying disinfectants and timely vaccination. We should vaccinate them in time. So fowls can be of 2 varieties. One is indigenous variety, indigenous or desi variety, and another one is exotic or Videshi variety. Okay. Indigenous varieties are Asil, Brahma, Chittagong, and exotic variety are White Leghorn, Plymouth Rock, New Hampshire. All these are certain varieties of fowl. Okay. Then what are the diseases affecting the poultry farming? Various infectants like viral diseases, bacterial diseases, fungal diseases may affect the poultry farming. Ranichet, pox virus, dermatitis, bird flu are the viral diseases. Bacterial diseases are fall cholera, fall typhoid. Then fungal diseases are mycotic, candidiasis, aspergillosis. How to eradicate or control the diseases? By vaccination and then spraying disinfectant. The Indian Veterinary Research Institute, that is IVRI, Indian Veterinary Research Institute, IVRI, present in Uttaranchal, has prepared vaccine for Ranichet disease. It has prepared vaccine for Ranichet disease, that is a viral disease. Then we will discuss about goat farming and sheep farming. Before going to the goat farming and sheep farming, let me write the heading here. sheep and goat farming. According to livestock census means there will be counting of animals. In order to count the individual animals, their number and documentation of them is known as census. Okay, according to livestock census, India has 41 million sheep. India has more than 41 million sheep and more than 80 million goats. 80 million goats. Then sheep are reared for wool, skin and meat. Sheep are reared for wool, skin and meat purpose. Then goats are reared for milk, meat, then skin and wool. Okay, for all these purposes they have been reared, and also their dropping or excreta is a good valuable manure. In India, wool yielding sheep are reared in dry parts of Rajasthan, Kutch, Saurashtra and northern Gujarat. Sheep having superior quality of wool type are raised in Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, hilly district of UP, Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. The main goat raising states are Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Gujarat, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal. Certain breeds of Indian sheep are Patanwadi, found in Gujarat, used for wool purpose. Then Marwari, it is also found in Gujarat. Then Nellore variety, found in Maharashtra. Deccani, found in Karnataka. Lohi in Punjab and Rajasthan, used for good quality of milk and wool production. The Nellore and Deccani variety are used for mutton purpose. Okay, there are several other varieties of sheep in India. However, some goat varieties are Marwari, found in Rajasthan, then Berari, found in Maharashtra, Malabari, found in Kerala, then Gaddi, found in Himachal Pradesh, are certain varieties of goats. Then come to the pig farming. Pig farming is also known as piggery. Okay, pig farming is also known as piggery, and the pig meat is called pork. Okay, generally it is considered that most of the poor people they cannot afford for meat of the birds, goats, sheep, hence they go for the pig meat, that is pork. It is assumed. However, the pig's hide is used as a leather and bristles are used for making brushes, and the fat obtained from the pig is used for soap manufacture. Okay. Then the fecal matter is a good source of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Those are also known as good micronutrients. Okay, these nutrients are required for proper growth and well development of the plants. Okay, then these feeds are fed on what? The garbages, kitchen waste and vegetable waste, human excreta. Also, it contains Indian variety. Then another one is your exotic breeds. Indian breeds are Desi and Ghori. Desi and Ghori are found in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh, Manipur, Assam, Meghalaya, Andhra Pradesh. And the exotic breeds are Berkshire, large white Yorkshire, then Landrace. These are found in United Kingdom and Switzerland and in Denmark. Then come to horse farming. Okay, horse farming is important. Why? Horses are mainly meant for transportation. Okay, horse farming in our classical serials we must have seen that our Rajas and Maharajas, they were riding horses. They are going for horse riding. Whenever they go for fight, they must ride a horse, and also horse is used as a symbol of heritage. You must have seen it. Okay, so these are used for transporting man and material, mainly used for transporting man and material. These are intelligent and fastest learner. They can easily learn, they can easily grasp any training. Okay, they can adapt to all sort of climatic conditions. They can be easily adapted to all sort of climatic conditions, and the main source of transport at high altitude. Altitude means to travel in height. Okay, altitudes, to travel high altitudes, and used by civilian, police and army. Okay, army people, police people, they use horses. Then they run faster and have greater stamina. However, they have low reproductive rate and more difficult to breed and have longer gestation period. They have longer gestation period. Horse breeding by controlled natural mating has been in practice for a long time in our country. However, some of the important Indian horse breeds are Kathiawadi, found in Rajasthan and Gujarat; Marwari, found in Rajasthan; Bhutia, found in Punjab and Bhutan; Manipuri, found in northeastern mountains; Spiti, found in Himachal Pradesh; Janskari, found in Ladakh. Okay, these are certain varieties of horses found in India. Last comes the fish farming. Next comes fish farming. Fish farming. In a broad sense, we can call it aquaculture. Okay. What is it? Fishery, fish farming or fishery is an industry devoted to catching, culturing, processing and selling of fish, shellfish and other aquatic animals is known as aquaculture. Okay. So, aquaculture in a broad sense is the culture, capture, then their breeding, processing, selling of the fish, shellfish and other aquatic animals is called aquaculture. However, culture of only fishes is known as fishery, and blue revolution is associated with fish production. Okay. Fish and other seafoods are the source of animal protein and are consumed by large section of our country. Okay. And fish liver oil, we know fish liver oil, that is a rich source of vitamin A and D. Fish liver oil is a rich source of vitamin A and D. Different types of fish farming are seen in our country based on the nature of source, nature of capture or source. Okay. Next is based on the nature of water source, based on the nature of water source, then the type of fishes, then the type of fishes. Okay, then come to the type of fishes. Nature of capture or source may be the capture fishery or culture fishery. Capture fishery and culture fishery. In capture fishery, we catch the fish from its main habitat, main natural habitat, that is the capture fishery. And culture fishery means artificially we culture them in a water body. Okay, artificially we culture them in a water body, that is the culture fishery. That may be your pond, may be any stagnant water, that is called capture fishery. Then come to nature of water source. Nature of water source ansare your fishery is freshwater fishery, freshwater, then brackish water fishery, then come to marine water fishery. Okay, freshwater fishery means fish production in freshwater such as canal, pond, reservoirs, river. Okay, those fishes in freshwater fisheries are rohu, katla, magur, singhi. Okay, so freshwater fishery, for freshwater fishery development we have SIFA, Central Institute of Freshwater Aquaculture. Brackish water is the water body where there is mixing of salt water and the fresh water. Okay, that is brackish water, found in lagoon areas and also found in estuaries. For this we have Central Institute of Brackish Water Aquaculture. Then marine fishery. India has the largest coastal line, that is 7500 kilometer, 7500 kilometer coastline and deep sea beyond it. Okay. So marine fishes are pomfret, hilsa, salmon, eel. You can add many. Okay. So these are caught by various methods like fishing net, boat, echo sounders and satellite. We need fishing nets to capture them, boats to go to that place, and echo sounders we have to locate them where they are actually found, and we can also use geostar satellites to locate their position so that we can get maximum number of capture of fishes. Then come to the freshwater fish farming includes composite fish farming. Freshwater fish farming can be composite fish farming, then integrated fish farming. Integrated fish farming can be paddy cum fish culture. Okay, paddy cum fish culture. In composite fish farming, what happens? 5 or 6 species having different food habitats are used in a single pond. Okay, 5 or 6 different fish species with different food habitat. Habitat means the place from where they get their food. Okay, habitats are used in single pond. They do not compete with each other. For example, Katla is a surface feeder. It will be fed upon the surface water. Then come to Rohu. Rohu is the middle feeder or the column feeder. If this becomes your aquatic ecosystem, then here you will find your Katla. Okay, then you will find here Rohu. Okay, here Rohu is the middle feeder or the column feeder. It will get its food from this region. Katla will get its food from this region. Then come to Mrigal. Mrigal is the bottom feeder. Mrigal is the bottom feeder. It will get its food from the lower benthic region. There are several regions of an aquatic ecosystem. You will know in your higher classes like lotic ecosystem and lentic ecosystem. Lentic is the stagnant and lotic is the flowing ecosystem. Okay, it has ecological stratification like surface feeder, column feeder and bottom feeder. Bottom feeders are the benthic populations. Okay, so only one problem exists in composite fish farming, that many of these fishes breed only in monsoon. In order to avoid that overcrowding of breeding, we have to culture them in different ponds using hormonal stimulation. We have to inject certain hormones to increase their rate of reproduction so that we can get maximum number of capture. Okay, then comes to integrated fish farming. Fish farming along with different type of farming like poultry farming, cattle farming, piggery and horticulture is known as integrated fish farming. Then come to paddy cum fish culture. Okay, let's first discuss about integrated fish farming. What is that? Integrated fish farming means, here it is a aquatic ecosystem. Okay, fishes are here, fishes are staying in water. Above it we can draw a poultry farming. We can make a poultry farm. The excreta or the dropping of the poultry is used as a manure for the fishes. Okay, is used as the manure for the fishes. The fishes grows in number, and also this water can be used in horticulture. This process is known as integrated fish farming because we combine fish farming along with poultry farming, horticulture. As we will have a large number of vegetation, we can also develop a dairy farm. Yes or no? This is known as integrated fish farming. Then come to paddy cum fish culture. This is our rice field. Okay, this is our entire rice field. Then we cultivate rice here. Then we make spaces for fish farming here. This is called paddy cum fish culture. Okay. Next come to the fish farming depending upon the type of fishery. It comes as the fin fishery, then shell fishery. What is that? Fin fishery and cell fishery. And then cell fishery. Fin fishery means the actual fish culture. Okay, as we have fishes bearing fins, it is called fin fishery. Cell fishery includes your what, crabs, then palemon, that is your chingudi, prawn. Okay, then lobster, edible oyster, all these come under your cell fishery. Okay, lastly, ornamental fish culture. Ornamental fish culture, that is your rangin macha. Okay, ornamental fish culture means India has over 100 varieties of freshwater ornamental fish, means these are found in freshwater ecosystem. Okay, that can be cultured in ponds. 85% of trade in ornamental fish in India is done from the northeastern states. India shares a global trade that is less than 1%. Domestic trade of ornamental fish is growing at 20%. That grows at 20% annually. Okay, Indian ornamental fishes can be classified as the live bearer type. Live bearer type means they do not lay egg, they give birth to the youngs. That are guppies, mully, then swordtail, platy, all these are the live bearer. Then egg layer types. Then comes the egg layer types. Egg layer types are goldfish, koi crab, zebra danio, red line torpedo, then angelfish. All these fishes are exported to Singapore and Hong Kong. All these ornamental fishes are exported to Singapore and Hong Kong. All this fish farming depend upon the breeding strategy. All this farming, along with fish farming, horse farming, pig farming, sheep, poultry, dairy, all this farming depend upon the breeding strategy. Okay, to understand the breeding strategy, let us know what are the breeds. Let us know what are the breeds. A group of animals related by the same descendant and similar in most of the characters like appearance, size, features are called the breeds. Okay, they belong to the same species, they resemble most of the characters like appearance, size, features with superior quality. Okay, these are called breeds. Then what is breeding? What is breeding? Breeding means mating. Mating of superior quality of female and a superior quality of male is known as breeding. It aims at, what is the aim of this breeding? It aims at the yielding of animals and improving desirable qualities of the product. The main aim of animal husbandry is to increase the quantity as well as quality of the product. So, the main aim of breeding is to improve the quality and quantity of the product. What is the objective of animal breeding? What are the objectives of animal breeding? First, we have to improve the growth rate. Improve growth rate. Secondly, to increase the production of animal product, to increase the production of animal products, then to improve the quality, to improve the quality of the product. Second, next is to grow disease free variety. Disease free variety, जदि disease affect करिवो then कौन हबा हमर production कमिवो, animal मानक संख्या कमिवो, so that production भी कमिजो. So we need to grow the disease free or resistant, or also we can say or the resistant variety. Then to increase the reproductive life, to increase the reproductive life, okay, or also we need to increase the productive life. Okay, reproductive life बढ़िले number of animals बढ़िबो, then productive life बढ़िले हमर production rate बढ़िबो. All these are the objectives of animal breeding. Breeding can be of two types, inbreeding and outbreeding. Outbreeding may be outcrossing, crossbreed and interspecific hybrids. What is inbreeding? Let us know what is ब्रीडिंग नेम रो आमे कोन जानचे इन ब्रीडिंग ताको सेग्रीगेट करले इन मीन्स अंदर जो है देन ब्रीडिंग वी हैव टू रिप्रोड्यूस देम ओके ब्रीडिंग ऑफ more closely individuals than the average relationship of the population is called inbreeding means mating or breeding in the relatives superior males and females of the same breed are identified and their mating in pairs is involved in the breeding strategy the progeny obtained from such a mating is evaluated for superior males and females are identified for further mating what are the advantages due to inbreeding there will be development of pure lines there will be developments of pure lines okay elimination of harmful alleles or the harmful genes then it favors the accumulation of superior genes and also it increases genetic variance genetic variance means the differences between different lines suppose this is one breed this is another breed genetic variance is their difference it increases the genetic variance different breeds and also increases the genetic variance among different breeds and decreases the variance within a breed okay it increases the variance among different breeds and decreases the variance within a single line there are also many disadvantages what are those disadvantages it is a chance mating okay due to chance mating there may be accumulation of lethal alleles there may be accumulation of homozygous lethal alleles due to loss of heterozygosity hybrid vigor must be lost what is that hybrid vigor means if we choose a disease free variety and a high milk producing variety the combination product must be disease free and high milking variety okay this is called hybrid vigor so 1 plus 1 must be 2 in inbreeding it may get reduced it may be half as it is a matter of chance okay it may be 2 or it may be half okay continued inbreeding reduces the fertility and then productivity reduction in fertility reduces the productivity that is called inbreeding depression inbreeding leads to lower birth weight then postnatal mortality poor growth reproductive disorder lower resistance to diseases in case of inbreeding depression selected animals of the breeding population should be mated with the superior animal of the unrelated breed. As I told you a term that is inbreeding depression, many lines of the population of the breed may get eliminated, may be lost. In order to avoid that problem, we need to crossbreed. Suppose we are doing inbreeding in this group. Suppose it is A, it is B. Okay, A the inbreeding depression dekhagala, number gradually reduce hela. So we need to crossbreed with the another superior variety of another breed. Okay, all this breed belong to the same species. Okay, this is called how to restore the fertility in the inbred population. Okay, next is outbreeding. Out means the outside breeding or आमे कौन कहूचे outside the breed. Okay, गोटे breed एटा A breed रहेला, another one is the B breed. Okay, A breed को mating जदि another breed that is B breed तो होला, then आमे ताको कहबा outbreeding बोली कहबा. Okay, it can be three types, that is outcrossing, crossbreed and interspecific hybrids. Okay, let us know what is outbreeding. Outbreeding is the breeding of unrelated animals which may be between the individuals of the same breed but have no common ancestor for 4 to 6 generations. There must not be any common ancestor up to 4 to 6 generations or between different breeds. There must be different breeds or with different species. Okay, within two breeds is outcrossing, crossbreed with or with or different breeds, then different species हेले कौन हबो interspecific hybridization. Let us understand what is outcrossing. Okay. Outcrossing, then crossbreeding, then interspecific hybrids. Okay. Outcrossing is the practice of mating of animals within the same breed but have no common ancestor on either side of the pedigree up to 4 to 6 generations. Pedigree means the chart. Pedigree means the chart of ancestry. Okay, this is the pedigree. Okay, this is your parental pedigree, this is your paternal pedigree, and this is your maternal pedigree. Okay, it's a rough diagram, it's a maternal pedigree. So outcrossing means there must not be any common ancestor in the same breed. Okay, this is known as outcrossing. The offspring of such a mating is known as an outcross. It is the best breeding method for animals that are below average in productivity, in milk production, growth rate, in beef, cattle, etc. Then a single outcross often helps to overcome the inbreeding depression. In order to overcome the inbreeding depression, one must go for the outcrossing. Next is crossbreeding. Crossbreeding means superior males of one breed are mated with the superior females of another breed. This is one breed, this is another breed. Okay, superior quality of one breed female will be mated with the superior male of another breed. This is known as crossbreeding. Crossbreeding allows the desirable qualities of two different breeds to be combined. Okay, the progeny hybrid animals may themselves be used for commercial production, or they may be subjected to some form of inbreeding and selection to develop new stable breeds that may be superior to the existing breed. Okay, like we need to crossbreed in order to improve the variety. Okay, then come to interspecific hybrid. Means here the mating occurs between the male and female of different species. For example, mule. Okay, mule is the product that is produced by a cross between a male donkey and a female horse. Male donkey and a female horse give a product that is mule. It is sterile in nature, it cannot undergo reproduction. This is interspecific hybrids. So what are the advantages of your outcrossing or outbreeding? Outbreeding advantages are it increases the heterozygosity that results in hybrid vigor. Okay, it establishes or increases the heterozygosity that is lost due to inbreeding depression and increases hybrid vigor. It also covers the defect of lethal alleles. Then the genetic variance within the lines, is increased due to your outbreeding. Okay. Then what are the breeding techniques? Let us understand what are the breeding techniques. There are several techniques used. Breeding techniques are artificial, insemination, then multiple ovulation and embryo transfer. It can be in vitro fertilization. Okay. So what is artificial insemination? It is a process of collecting semen from a male animal and manually depositing it into the reproductive tract of the selected female. Artificially the semen is collected and injected into the reproductive tract of female. What are the advantages? The semen of superior genetic merit can be used to inseminate a number of female. Okay, the superior genetic variety semen can be used to inseminate a number of female varieties. The semen can be used immediately or it can be preserved at -80° temperature for later use. Okay, when the selected female animals are at their best time for conception, when they are in a state to receive their semen or they are in a state to conceive, then only they can get inseminated. The frozen semen can be transported from one place to another distant place to do what? To do fertilization. Okay. Then it reduces the number of hard bulls needed in a cattle operation. It controls many infectious diseases by preventing the skin contact. It promotes the crossbreeding. Semen can be evaluated at each time. Whenever we go for artificial insemination, we can evaluate the quality of the semen, the number of sperm present in that semen sample. Okay. So, only one disadvantage in this method is it requires what? Technical, well skilled and specialized hand and equipment. Okay. Then come to multiple ovulation and embryo transfer. Multiple ovulation. Ovulation occurs as a result of LH and FSH influence on your gonads. Okay. These are your gonadotropic hormones. Injection of gonadotropic hormones increases the number of egg production. The number of egg production increases. Okay. Then these eggs are fertilized by artificial insemination or natural breeding process. Okay. After fertilization, the embryos are collected and segregated and transported to a number of females that can act as surrogate mother. Okay. This is one method. Okay. The embryos are collected non-surgically. Okay. Then in vitro fertilization, what happens? The fertilization of egg and the sperm occurs inside the test tube or in the laboratory condition. The zygote is produced, embryo is developed, then it is transferred to a surrogate mother that is ready to conceive. Okay. All these strategies are implemented for development of a variety. Okay. In order to develop a quality production or to get a quality product, we need to implement all these techniques in laboratory condition, as well as it is also used in practical fields by skilled technicians, so that our product is produced in a large quantity with maintaining superior quality. Okay. All these things are included under your animal husbandry. Okay. This is required for the food, for fulfilling the desire of the growing population, the need of food, shelter and clothes. Okay. I hope you all understood the basic concept of animal husbandry, and thank you all for your kind patience. Thank you.